do you feel about this Blazers lack of action at the deadline?
Expected.
The way I look at it, there was nothing they were going to do at the deadline. Look at the moves that were made around the league. There was nothing that they were going to do that would have made them better, either really and truthfully this year or in the near future.
And it's not about better. It's about making more sense going forward. And I think that's always got to be the goal. And for everybody's like, they have to trade Malcolm Brogdon. How dare they not have Malcolm Brogdon?
Your angry pounding on the desk just
broke your mic.
Broke my microphone.
I wasn't even pounding that hard. That was kind of impressive.
We know what that. Yeah, go ahead. Do that.
Yeah.
Yep. You were saying?
God, I just let him go, don't I? It's unfortunate. But the transactional stuff of like, shout out Eric Gunderson, who's like, thank God we don't have to hear about Quentin Grimes being a Trailblazer anymore, because I was like, Quentin Grimes wasn't this like can't miss thing. The Knicks have been shopping him since the beginning of the season. This FOMO over like trade slop is just one of those things that I'm just like, guys, it's okay. Like Quentin Grimes is not playing on his own team because he's lesser Josh Hart. The Knicks are like, we have Josh Hart at home, and they had the better version of him. Like he's a 6'4" guard who's kind of a forward who can kind of shoot, who does some other stuff and is a solid defender. But it's like, we just got done doing the Josh Hart experience and we loved Josh here. But what was the issue? You couldn't play him alongside a smaller guard, and that was a Hall of Famer. So you want Quentin Grimes to balance out alongside Scoot Henderson? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I think there's a frustration with fans, though, that see continually guys like Danny Ainge who will revamp their roster time and time again. You and I were talking about this in the break. Like, Ochai Agbaji goes and they trade him 2 years after drafting him.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Och was a guy who came over in the Markkanen deal. And you look at like that part of it, and they're just like, And Och is a guy who he's basically a finished product, but he's just like a reliable, solid NBA player. And the Jazz are like, cool, reliable, solid NBA players are fine, but we'd rather have the mystery box. And that's how Danny Ainge operates. Is like, we like mystery boxes.
And they got a 2024 first-round pick that is the least favorable of the Oklahoma City, Clippers, Houston, and Utah picks.
Which you're talking about a pick that's going to be 20.
Wait, and Utah in their own pick? The least favorable of their own pick?
Yeah, I think theirs got put in another deal.
So wait.
I think this is for Derek Favors.
What if their pick is the least favorable?
Well, then
they just traded for their own pick back?
Yeah, so they gave up Och for a lotto pick, but that's what won't happen.
Well, no, the least favorable would mean that it'd be non-lottery.
That's what I'm saying. It's saying if theirs was the least favorable, it would be a lotto pick, but it's because they're bad. That's what I'm saying. But I believe that pick itself originated from the Derek Favors buyout deal, or as part of the package they sent to get off his money to the Thunder, which, again, Sam Presti, that's what he did. But yeah, like, Ochai Agbaji is not Malcolm Brogdon. Those are two very different players and two very different values in the league. And look, for all of the Blazers, if Quentin Grimes is on the table, they should take it. No, they shouldn't have. And not in my opinion. I think that there's a better option this summer. Is there a risk in doing that because of the market shifting? Yes. But everything that happened really today was in line with what I heard for weeks and we have talked about for so long, in that it was shuffling of deck chairs and nothing serious happened because all of the big transactions are slated to happen this summer.
And to reframe what we've been talking about leading up to this and the important things that you need to note, this offseason, League New Year starts, new CBA is in place. It is more punitive towards teams that are in the luxury tax and over the luxury tax threshold. So what you saw was a lot of teams, Philadelphia did this today, and with their Daniel House trade to the Detroit Pistons, they made that move to clear $8.3 million to avoid being in the apron so they don't get hit with the big luxury tax. A lot of what the moves were made today was to do that. Is Portland in that problem? Do they have that problem? No. Were they going to get a piece that makes them better from another team? Because think about that. The teams that are doing this are the contenders.
Yep.
What Philly gave up was Daniel House. Okay?
James Springer and Pat Bev.
Those are the types of play, but they ended up bringing in a Buddy Hield.
Sure.
But they sent out
Marcus Morris,
3 basically for 1.
Cork Maz.
And so they were saying, all right, if we want to go ahead and bring in a guy like a Buddy Hield, but we don't want to be absolutely bludgeoned by the new CBA when it kicks in, well, guess what we're going to have to do?
Package up some contracts with some players. And Cork Maz is a guy who, hilariously, has requested a trade, I think, 2 times publicly over the last 2 years. The Furkan Cork Maz is the level of player that I want asking for trades publicly.
That's what I'm talking about.
You were just waiting to see how I said Furkan, huh?
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a curse word.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome.
Frickin' Cork Maz.
It does. It's great. Quit Furkan around.
Yeah. Yeah. His basketball reference nickname should be Awesome. Furkan Awesome Cork Maz. Yeah. But these are where a lot of these trades lived and why teams were operating this way, why it was not as active.
Oh, his official nicknames? We have to derail for a second.
Yeah.
Furky, Turkish Delight, and Goat Maz. God, I love basketball reference.
Those are all horrible
They're
for that guy.
So terrible, but they're so great.
Turkish Delight.
Turkish Delight's a great one.
I like that.
I like that one.
But I think that there really are, I think, 2 teams did get better. I think one, you can make the case if they get healthy, got better. I think Dallas, with the addition of PJ Washington, I think that they get better. And I think that they are feeling that pressure and feeling that heat, which they're in a window. You go and you make a move. They had to give up a first-round pick for that. Go ahead. And here's the other thing. We've been framing all of this trade deadline talk with this too. Do the Blazers want to pick up more draft picks? No, they don't. Because how many guys do they have in their first or second year on their roster in the
9.
NBA? 9.
And they have their own draft pick, the draft pick from the Golden State Warriors, and their second this year.
They're looking for vets, guys in the front court.
And by veterans, not 30-year-old veterans, they want 23 to 26-year-old. Like, they don't want kids.
Guys who have been in the league for 3 to 4 years.
On their second contract
5
is
years.
basically what they're looking at. Like, they past the early development cycle.
And what happens is, and we know this, especially with how everybody reshuffled those deck chairs, right? What we see is teams are going to say, we make the run now. We are okay in the cap heading into the new league year. Malcolm Brogdon has a $22.5 million expiring deal next year. That becomes attractive. This is where you go. If you are begging for picks, you're not ready for the rebuild and you weren't ready for the rebuild.
That's the thing is, remember I kind of joked, like, this fan base isn't ready for this. You're not ready for
this in-season trade deadline. There was nothing that they were going to do that changed their future. Now, I will say, just as I said about last year, they made the Dame move and they said, reset, we're going nuclear. This offseason is where you need to start making those moves to get those vets in, because then at that point, this is year 3. This is it truly is year 3. We've shut Dame down 2 years in a row. This year is full on rebuild mode with new, fresh, clean slate. Next year, you are going to be entering year 4. Essentially, you need to start making moves that make sense for winning basketball games, and that is where I'm sitting right now. Is like starting to get a little antsy, but this wasn't the deadline that they were going to exponentially improve.
First time you're going to really see the impact of stuff, and if they come out of this summer without making some impact moves or things that kind of help push the minecart a little bit, down the tracks, then I'm going to start raising eyebrows. We do have a little bit of news. Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton have both been added to today's injury report against the Detroit Pistons.
Great.
Scoot Henderson has a foot contusion. That would explain, if you missed it, Ashton Hagans from the Rip City Remix was called up on a 10-day contract. He's the starting point guard for the Remix. He was not needed to get to the minimum roster requirement. He was called up because Scoot Henderson might not play tonight, and without Shaedon Sharpe, you need an additional ball handler now.
Okay.
So, yay.
All right.
So the game of who is and who isn't available tonight against the Detroit Pistons is a fun one. Jeremy Grant also listed on the injury report, but he is probable. So there's a little bit of a change there with his back. So little mild updates, news, notes,
All right.
as it were, for any of those heading to the game tonight.
Well, you got Dallas, they improved. Milwaukee, I think they did improve as well.
I think they helped themselves by adding Pat Bev.
Pat Beverly in the backcourt. They did deal Robin Lopez, who is promptly going to be bought out by the Sacramento Kings.
There's a lot of vets on the buyout market. Spencer Dinwiddie, after being traded from the Nets to the Raptors, is being bought out. It is thought that the Lakers are going to pursue him, which...
And then,
okay.
Good luck, Lakers. The Lakers really are poorly run, and we don't talk about that. And when LeBron leaves next year, they're going to be a mess.
Mm-hmm. But they're the Lakers, and they'll stumble face first into another generational star because that's what they do.
Oh God, people need to stop that.
Well,
and then there's one team that if they get healthy and get right, I think the 76ers. If you do get Joel Embiid at the end of the year, Buddy Hield, he adds a lot, man. He adds a lot to. He's a guy that you cannot leave anywhere on the perimeter, and that they got a dead-eye shooter. So, but it all hinges on Embiid getting healthy, because if Embiid's not healthy,
it doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing.
They tried to do enough to try to support the Undercroft, as it were, before Joel comes back.